Well, welcome Bradley to your showroom. We appreciate coming here and you giving us some time to talk about the structure and the family and how Worthington Prestige, Worthington BMW, have arrived on the coast in 2002, and maybe some of the subtle changes that we've seen over the last 8 years.
Thanks for the opportunity, mate.
Tell me about your arrival. Did you guys have strategies in place? You knew about BMW, obviously, but
our arrival was all about thinking about the Central Coast and just being very passionate about our product. We've been on the Central Coast all of our lives. We knew the type of people that were coming to the Central Coast, and it was our belief in the product and customer service that made us quite different from our competitors, and it's made us successful over the years.
Okay. And about any specific, like that's a general business strategy. If you got down into it, we talked earlier about family. How does that strategy come to life?
Well, the Central Coast is all about family, and when we marketed the dealership in the local papers, on the radio, we marketed the concept of family all the way through it. So it was a thread all the way through our marketing. The Central Coast is about family, about lifestyle, and it's our belief that's what people come to the Central Coast for, and the beaches.
Yeah. With regard to that execution of family, I remember at one stage you had a very special celebration for the handing over of a brand new BMW, almost like the arrival of a new family member. Was that part of the deal? Or?
It certainly was. I mean, what we proclaimed to the world in our press advertising, we wanted to make it real for our customers.
Okay.
So when they picked up their BMW from our dealership, we created a special friendly celebration, and it was about, I guess, being proud to own a BMW. Yeah. So we would have the streamers, the poppers, and it's a BMW. You don't often get given a BMW, you have to work hard for a BMW. So it's that celebration, the celebration of hard work.
Okay.
And that's what we thought we captured that quite well in the early days.
Okay. If we move forward now, the last couple of years, things have changed. GFC has arrived, it changes relationships around the world. What learning, I guess, have you had over the last 2 years, since 2008, when it comes to selling things?
Well, I believe there's a deeper sales process now. Before, people came to our dealership for a BMW and they may have been considering a competitive product, but now they're considering all sorts of options, all forms of transport. So now when we communicate to a client, it's a much deeper, longer sales process. The decision making takes longer, and we have to give people room to make that decision, and we have to be seen to be giving good service without being in a form of harassment. We don't want to harass our clients. I mean, people didn't come to the Central Coast to be harassed when they purchased a BMW. In Sydney, I believe the model is a little bit different down there. Like, everything's about speed. On the Central Coast, it's about relationships and building trust.
And you've always done that well. The retained client or the referred client has always been strong. Is it down to that subtlety, do you think?
Well, during the financial crisis, we mostly marketed to our own database.
Right, okay.
And that gave us a bit of underlying strength all the way through. When I think about the global financial crisis, it was all about getting the right people and keeping the right people all the way through it. Quality staff, you can't replace.
Yeah.
So we kept most of our staff all the way through that. And we did venture into other brands, the Renault Alpha and Fiat brands, and during the recession we found these not as desirable. So people still aspired to a BMW even when times were really quite bad.
Yeah. Let's talk about your people, because the philosophy in getting good people in is critical. Have you changed your hiring process?
No, it's an in-depth hiring process. We ask a lot more questions about their roles and responsibilities and how they perform them in their previous job. But the Central Coast has a good base of staff. There's some good quality people that commute to Sydney now that we like to work here. So we can change their lives. They save 2 or 3 hours commuting time per day, and they also enhance ours because they're quality people, and they make the election to move to the Central Coast for the lifestyle, and they prefer to work here as well.
Okay. Earlier on we talked about you being the head of a BMW franchise here as the master dealer. Is there things that surprised you about the relationship between franchisor and franchisee?
Many things. BMW has in-depth process. So we have a QMA process, which is qualitative management assurance, and the simple sign out the front, you know, Worthington BMW, to have the words BMW after our name means we have the accreditation from BMW Germany. So it's about process, it's about meeting the customer expectation, and BMW measures this very closely, and they have a very big stick when you make a mistake. So the aim is not to make mistakes. They're a great business partner to be involved with. They're getting involved with the business daily, monthly. They do help and aid making decisions, and sometimes they might take a little bit of your entrepreneurial flair away, which was the reason why they recruit a dealer. But you've got to think back that BMW has been in the business since the early 1900s, so they've been doing it for an awfully long time.
Okay.
Some of their corporate identity and some of their processes are a little bit harder to deal with from time to time. I mean, we are now sitting in a BMW facility that is a worldwide facility. This is the standard worldwide. So any dealer in Australia should be having, you know, the BMW tile and these panels. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the next 12 months. It'll be interesting. Do you see anything that is outstanding that you need to address specifically, or how will next year be different to this year?
Well, I'm encouraged by the BMW product. We have the youngest face of BMW products that we've ever had, and the range. So we have our entry-level cars starting with the BMW X1 for around $48,000, $49,000. So we're making our cars within the reach of the normal family sedan now. We've also got the efficient dynamics message to sell. The efficient dynamics message is all about building a car and getting the most out of your fuel and thinking about the car and its performance. Now, we don't want to take away sheer driving pleasure from our motto, and that's why our cars will always be a driver's car and always be successful. But thinking over the next 12 months, we've got to be mindful of interest rates and controlling our inventory, keeping our costs down, and meeting the customer expectation will be the message for the next 12 months. But after that, I believe it's going to be quite positive here in Australia, even in the retail market. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen the share price come back for certain retail stocks, and I believe the Reserve Bank's actually got it right. There is an underlying strength in our economy, even though we've got to come to terms with those retailers that don't have the protectionism that we have. The shopper will buy overseas, over the internet.
Yeah, okay. The final point, family is paramount to the Worthington group. And we talk and hear about this thing called life-work balance. Is there such a thing, Bradley?
There is, and for the first 7 to 8 years of any business, I don't believe There isn't. There is not. You must work hard. You must set the foundations for a business. But for work-life balance for me, living on the Central Coast, it means that I get involved with the community and I get involved with my family.
Would that be different for a BMW dealer anywhere else in Australia though, to be involved with the community? Is that not just good sense, or?
They might do it in a different way. I mean, on the Central Coast it's more relaxed. I believe if I lived in Melbourne or a major capital city, I'd have to wear a suit wherever I would go. But you can find Brad Worthington wearing a pair of Blundstone boots and a pair of shorts, or going down the beach in a pair of board shorts. That relaxed lifestyle on the Central Coast, it's important to me that I can do those things and people don't judge me for it. And I think people come from Sydney and from other surrounding areas to the Central Coast because it's one of those places where they can relax and chill out. And we've still got to be on top of our game professionally, but we can be seen to be living that lifestyle. I have a small acreage and I'm involved in planting and getting my hands dirty. And when I think about my fellow dealers, I don't believe they'll be doing that. No. But that's just me. I've got a small farm, you might say, and I enjoy getting dirty and getting back to my grassroots, you might say. It's important to me for my mind. And when you think about a sense of community, though, I think of Italy and their plaza and where people go and meet. We don't have that. We have business groups and schools where we get to meet other parents, but they're all like-minded people, and I find them very easy to come over and have a barbecue with them. So, which is what I think the Central Coast is all about.
You arrived in 2002. You've got a planning cycle. It might be 5 years. What are you expecting to see there? What are the biggest issues for the Worthington BMW?
What I'd like to be, my vision for the next 5 years is to be more environmentally friendly as a car dealer, and taking the use of solar panel to another level and becoming more efficient that way. But when I think about the facilities that we'll be providing, we have the BMW facility which is sitting in now, which we've recently spent $1.5–2 million on, and that was a major upgrade for us. We also have the third largest for volume motorbike facility in a building next door, and our plan for the building immediately next door is a large used car facility. They'll all be dedicated to BMW product, and this way customers can view the cars, even a used car, inside in a nice environment. But I also think I will be providing additional services to my clients. I believe I'll be offering free convention facilities where they can make the use of a room for free. I must encourage customers to come back to the dealership, and the next major expenditure would also be a car wash. So our customers can have the benefit of that. But all in all, 11,300 square metres dedicated to BMW product on a landmark location. This location, it's funny, I've been on planes all around the world and I've actually sold cars to people that have never been to the Central Coast but know that there's a BMW dealer on top of the hill here. And they don't even know, they can't recall why they know that there's a BMW dealer here. I have sold them cars.
But that's understanding, and just to, I guess, take some thoughts out of that, that's understanding the Central Coast and the power of why people come here and the impression that substance and quality can make.
Look, a lot of the dealers on the Central Coast are actually the best dealers in Australia. They know they've got to perform on price and service to get people sometimes out of Sydney and Newcastle, which are our neighbouring regions, and also to satisfy our own customers. Because of our community, we must perform at all times, because our community does communicate, and when they communicate, it's got to be a successful message. a positive message that we've done the right things by them. So we are judged continuously on the coast, for good and the bad, and how we deal with customer complaints and how we move on and satisfy those complaints.
Okay, and understanding the values that are critical to those customers, those family values that... Yeah.
That's right. On the Central Coast, you've really got to tap into why they're living on the Central Coast, what the customers' needs and expectations are, how they spend their money and their time. A lot of my friends love golf, and they'll spend a day a week on the golf course. BMW tell me if my handicap's less than 15, then I spend too long on the golf course. Well, there's no threat that that will happen.
No, as I understand.
But yeah, for me it's motorbike riding and enjoying the mountains. On the weekend I rode up to Wollombi with some clients, and they've become friends, and that's what the Central Coast is all about.
Excellent. Well done, Bradley. Thank you.